Hi everyone, it's Erin with Ariengabriella. How are you doing this afternoon? Several hours have passed since my last video, so I just almost forgot that I was supposed to be doing it, but I'm happy that I remembered. So let's just jump into it. So this is part 2 of my video on the coronavirus, and this is going to be how you can build immunity to the coronavirus by eliminating or reducing the amount of fear that you feel. And the way that you reduce the amount of fear that you feel is by using emotional alchemy to inject more love into your life, or at least neutralize the fear. And when you do that, you make it a lot harder for your immune system to be compromised, which makes it a lot harder for the virus to take effect. This comes just from a basic scientific concept that fear lowers your immune system, and fear can take several different forms. It can take the form of worry, stress, especially stress. Stress is a big one. Anxiety, of course, blind panic. And fear can also be something that kind of is infectious. So by watching too much sensationalized news, by spending too much time around people who are in fear, whether they be friends, family, whoever, that can kind of make it harder for you to get to the place of love as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just give you some basic tips on how you can reduce the amount of fear during these times. And these are always, some of them are very corona specific, but the majority of them are just good tools to use anytime you feel like you're in a fearful state, to help lift yourself up and get your head around whatever it is that may be concerning for you without letting the emotion of fear take over. Because again, in this matrix structure, like fear and fear-based energy is what these dark demonic beings feed off of. So, and it doesn't help you solve your problems either. So by staying in love, you make your life easier and smoother. You kind of help to eliminate the food source for these darker beings. So it puts less fear in the world and more love overall, which ends up helping yourself and everyone around you. Just understand that anytime that we talk about emotional alchemy, to a certain extent, the best I can do is just kind of offer you general advice and tips. I'd have to work directly with you one-on-one if you wanted more targeted help. But ultimately, a lot of this is just kind of me just reminding you of concepts that you already know, and then you doing the work to figure out how to make these tips work in your life. So I just want to say that there's no kind of real instruction, step-by-step instruction manual to eliminating fear. You just kind of have to do what works best for you, but these tips should be pretty universally applicable. So I'm going to refer to my notes and just kind of go from there. So the first thing on my list here is obviously do good deeds. So that generally falls under the umbrella of focusing on loving and caring for others. I know that I was kind of outside walking my dog and I saw some people handing out soup to homeless people just out of their trunks because they had the soup. I thought that was really nice, and I could kind of tell that they were doing it. I think it was kind of sparked by the coronavirus, although I didn't go up to them and ask that. Some people's hearts are really opening and some people's hearts are really closing during this time. So doing good deeds is something that I definitely need to do more of. I want to be more active in the community. So I'm definitely going to take that advice, and, just focusing on loving and caring for the people around you can be a good way to remind yourself of, to build love and increase the love that you already have. The second thing that you can do, still on the vein of community here, is to reach out and be vulnerable. I think it's easier than ever to chat people up, even in cities that aren't really friendly. I'm in Kansas City right now. I don't think the city I'm in is very friendly, but I'm also not the friendliest. So it's just kind of a bad match. But I found I've been wanting more to chat up people, and people have been more willing to kind of stop and talk. So definitely take advantage of that. It's a good time to make friends, to meet your neighbors. Doing all of that can kind of take your mind off any worries or concerns that you may have about the virus or about the economic effects of the virus as well. Another thing that you can do is work on, these are just in the moment things that you can do to shift your vibration into love. So the first thing you can do is you can practice, of course, positive affirmations. I'm going to give you some tips, maybe in another video, on how to make positive affirmations have a maximum amount of impact. But generally speaking, any positive affirmation that you do, it's going to be really great for you. You can use affirmations to catch yourself or to kind of correct negative thinking, because at the end of the day, negative thoughts, exist in the ether around us. It's impossible to completely eliminate all negative thoughts and get to the point where it's like, well, at least I think right now, it's almost impossible to have 100% positive thoughts. Like, if you can even get like 80% positive thoughts, like you're doing extremely great for the times that we're in. And I think that I have found that using affirmations is a really great way to like catch a negative thought in midair and just kind of like immediately change it. So if I am like, I don't know, if I am saying like, oh, I hate my notebook, immediately you could just have an affirmation that say like, I have a notebook I love and care about, or, I love all of my notebooks, or something like that. Something like that, something where you can just immediately like negate something negative that you've done. Another way that you can do that works really well is like blessing the people that you're mad at. So if there's someone that you hate, there's someone that you are upset with or frustrated with, like instead of trying to curse that person and be like, oh, like, F you, blah, 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 you can just take time to send them love and see them surrounded in a cloud of beautiful pink light. Whatever color light that you think, represents love. I like to use the pink light. And you can just say, I love and bless you with gratitude, or something like that. And that's a really great way to just kind of force yourself to acknowledge the humanity of the person that like maybe you're upset with, or something like that. Obviously, deep breathing is another really good one. Don't underestimate that, because like breathing, moving the prana around can be amazing. Yoga on the subject of deep breathing, I feel like exercise, especially like yoga, tai chi, but really any type of exercise to get those endorphins flowing. I definitely recommend yoga as well, because not only is it good exercise, there is an emphasis on proper breathing. At least in the classes that I'm in, I usually do Ashtanga, but depending on the class you're in, like there'll be a focus on breathing, and that can be tremendously helpful as well. It's just like an instant relaxer. I touched on these a little bit in my video that I did a few weeks ago, but definitely gratitude, like looking around yourself and telling what you're thankful for, is another really good way. Like for me, I work from home, I'm in the house, but I am so happy that I get to work from home. I'm actually on PTO this week, so the first full week hasn't really started, but I've been wanting to work from home full time forever, and now I really have that chance. So I am just so grateful that I have permanent work from home, and I really want to parlay that into, actual, like just, I can do my job when I'm not in the office, so why do I have to be in the office ever, just parlaying that into like a full-time work from home gig is I want to make that happen in some form or another with my future, with this job or another one. So I just feel like I'm on the right track, even though it's an odd time to be working from home under these circumstances. But, we all have some kind of new opportunity that's been created, whether we know it or not, from our situation that we've been in, kind of being in the house. And it's just about making the most of that. Meditation as well, always really great. I will always recommend that. I do believe like doing some type of strengthening meditation, like maybe a meditation where you imagine yourself like as a spiritual warrior, surrounded in the armor of God, like those can be a really great option. So you're just kind of surrounded in like this bright light that shines brightly. And you have your armor on, or maybe it's something else. Maybe it's just like a blanket of light around you, and it's strengthening you, and it's emboldening you, and it's just making you feel like you can conquer anything, that nothing can defeat you, because ultimately you are light, and there's nothing stronger than your light. You just have to kind of own it. So those types of like light-based, warrior-based kind of meditations can be really helpful. Another thing, you could also take advantage of this social distancing stuff to get away from negative energy, because there are some people who are just kind of riding the wave, kind of being really relaxed or being really loving, and then there's people who are just falling into fear and kind of losing their sanity. You can use social distancing as an excuse to get away from those crazy people. And also, you can also use it to get away from any kind of disrespectful energy, because now is just not the good time to be surrounded by anything negative. Like, everything that you surround yourself with at this time should be sincerely wanting you to succeed and to support you. If that's not the case, then I would use social distancing as an excuse to get rid of that. But that's up to you. That's just like another thing. If you really don't feel like the community thing is really your jam right now, you could just move into the opposite direction, take advantage of the silence and the solitude, and kind of go into hermit phase. And it will keep you energetically safe, because I just feel like sometimes even walking outside, you get hit with like somebody else's fear, and it's just like, ugh, even if it's around you too much, it can start to really feel like your own, and then you can get really confused, or it could actually become your own. You actually just take it on. So we don't want to do that. We just want to make sure that our space is coming from within and not being influenced from without right now. So definitely take advantage of that social distancing. It's like a hermit's dream. Number 3 on my list for reducing fear would be drastically limiting social media. There's so many people coming online talking about like the end of days and all this shit, but just it's all true. It's not shit, but just understand that like some people will come on and just be like, look, we're at the end of days, but there's a bright new day coming. Don't be afraid. Like, this is exactly what we've all been wanting. You should definitely be listening to messages like that. But I recently saw someone else go on, and it was so fear-based. It's like, Revelations is here, like, get it together, like, we have no time, like, just very like more apocalyptic, kind of more doom and gloom. Those people are full of crap. Like, just completely ignore them. Social media is getting crazy. I go on there and post, inspiring messages. So definitely follow me, ariengabriella, on Instagram and Twitter. But yeah, it's just, it's really getting nasty, and I don't like to see all that nastiness. And right now, we're just very much in kind of a quiet, energetic space, like a more kind of melancholy, like reflective space, that all that social media stuff really is not helpful for you or any of us. I would just restrict the time. If you feel called to eliminate it, that's great, but whatever works for you there. And just by the fact that you're not on social media, I would also add watch less mainstream news to that, even though I also advocate that you pay as much attention to politics as possible. Just find avenues where people aren't just constantly giving their opinions. Like, that's part of the reason I don't watch TV, is because when I watch the news, I don't really get the news. I just get people's opinions, and I just don't give a crap about random commenters' opinions. I give a crap about the actual news. So I find myself watching like C-SPAN more, like more of those channels where like there's no commentary. You're just sitting there and watching and making up your own mind, instead of having like somebody else state their opinion before you've had a chance to even absorb what you've seen. That can be a great way to just make sure that you're getting the information that you need without getting accidentally tumbling into somebody else's fear-based rhetoric, which is really not healthy ever, but especially not in these times. And the last thing you can do, I kind of touched on this, is exercise, eating healthy. Your body is its own unique ecosystem. Definitely be careful about what you eat. Plants are great. I would definitely advise you can definitely eat meat, but again, just think about where your meat is coming from. Like, if there's an animal who suffered before it died, like, that fear is in that meat, and then you're going to consume it, and it can help you be more fear-based. So just try to be as cognizant as possible of the food that you're ingesting. You don't know where everything's come from, but if you can bless the food before you eat it, speak love into your food, that can go a long way to help get more of that love-based energy into your body. So that's all I have. Did a pretty good job. It's a shorter video, so I'm just going to upload this as well. My other one that I did watch that as well, that's more about the energies and the predictions for the coronavirus and the world at large through the beginning of fall of this year and beyond. But again, my name is Erin with Ariengabriella. If you like my content, definitely subscribe to my YouTube channel. I just started it a little while ago, so need as much support as I can get. My company, Ariengabriella, is launching in summer, this summer. I'm so excited. And I am a spiritual-based company selling spiritual lifestyle apparel products like crystals, spiritual apparel, and crystal jewelry as well. So yes, thank you so much and have a great Friday, rest of your equinox. Bye.